All right, welcome back to the Gym Profit Podcast. Today we have an exciting topic. We're here with Brad McKee, owner of Velocity. Brad, we're going, this is your wheelhouse. We're talking about how to get attrition to zero, how to never lose a member again. And obviously that is a little bit hyperbole. You can't just keep everyone forever. One of the things that we say here at FitRev is when people are getting the best results of their life, they don't cancel. So today is all about attrition. How do we get that to zero? How do we get that as low as possible? And let's just start off with, why is it important? And if you're a gym owner that's like trying to hammer marketing in order to grow, why is this the lever to pull? And why is this our first stage in the client journey? When we work with a new gym, we fix this problem first. So if you want to go into some of like the numbers and why this is so important, let's kick it off.
Yeah. So you bring up a great point. Marketing is a sexy, sexy thing. It sounds so good to say, like, I'm adding 10 clients this month. And you hear a lot of owners brag about that. Like, oh, we added 12 people this month. Yet those same gyms are doing 20, 25,000 a month for 2 years in a row. So if you're adding 10 clients a month, that tells me there's a major problem with retention. And why this is so expensive of a thing is, I think owners are short-sighted. They think they lose a member, like they only think of that month that they lost the revenue. They don't think about future revenue that they lost. So let's say you keep a client on average for 8 months, which, believe it or not, I see a lot with gyms, which is crazy to me. If you have an 8-month length of engagement, or how long someone stays with your facility, they cancel. And let's say a good industry standard is 24 months. Well, there's 16 months that we're missing out on that revenue.
Mm-hmm.
So 16 times your average revenue per member, let's say, again, you're doing this the right way, $500 a month on average. 500 times 16, it's pretty significant. We're getting into some big numbers here. And you take that and you multiply it times how many months in a year, it gets really aggressive. One of the first things I like to do with owners is actually show them the cost of attrition. How if they take it from a 10 to a 3, what happens percentage-wise? And it's usually astounding. It's not like 10 grand a year. It's usually like $100,000 it's costing them. So when owners talk about, I just want to make more money, I need more leads so I can like really increase my revenue this year. Well, let's pause and let's look at, well, if we didn't lose anyone in the last 6 months, would we be having a conversation of, I need more leads?
Right. Right. Yeah. And this is coming from two people who ran churn factories for a long time, right?
Yeah.
And it's so easy to look at 1 month and be like, okay, I got to bring in 10 members. And if that's what you're doing, first of all, just zoom out. That's 120 people through your doors in a year, right? And the way that we work with facilities, oftentimes, if they are serving clients at a really high level, they're doing small group training, they're doing personal training first, they're a high touch service, we only need 100 members total, right? So this idea of like, we're going to get there by just hammering marketing when our attrition rate is anywhere above 5%, there's a real issue, and it's the wrong thing to focus on. So this is what we want to fix first. I guess let's jump into some of the ways that we do it, right? So step one, gym comes to us. They've got sometimes it's not this aggressive, but sometimes they have a 10% attrition rate. We'd like to work with gyms that have even a 6%, and we get it down to 3, and it makes a massive difference. So what's step one in this whole thing to finally fix the hole in the bottom of the bucket and start keeping people longer, getting more referrals, and seeing some of those numbers come back?
Yeah. One of my favorite questions to ask owners when we start is to get a list of every single client they have, present that list to me, and then we're going to have a column next to that list of, why did that client start here? Do they even know? And let's say they do know why that client started here. Have they accomplished that goal? Do they even know? Have they quantified that? I am batting 100% right now in that no owner is tracking these things when they come to us, because I wasn't tracking these things. I didn't used to track them. And that's crazy, because if we're saying we're delivering outcomes and we want people to trust us, but we're not actually following through with doing what we said we were going to do, getting them the result. We're not even tracking it. Well, no wonder people don't trust us. No wonder people don't feel like they're getting an outcome because there's not a clear process in making sure that we do. So, step one is that we operate by identifying why was someone here? Have we solved that problem for them? If we aren't tracking that, we need to implement a way of tracking that immediately.
Right. So let's go into what we called client journey, right? Because if you're looking at a gym's list of members, that you sold them, right? Like they started at your gym. And so if you sold them and they started at your gym, they became a member, what did they buy? What did you even sell them? Did you even talk about the outcomes, or did you just sell a package of personal training and people thought they were just paying for your time and paying by session? Did you just sell them a membership and say, we're a CrossFit gym, you should know what that means, right? You should know what you're getting. Or did you have a realistic conversation about their goals, what they want to get to, and is that clearly outlined in your client journey? What is the outcome that you're selling to? And, we can go through some of these examples, but that outcome needs to be pretty significant to keep someone long term. That outcome cannot be you're going to get fitness classes, right? Like we need a client journey that progresses someone from point A to point B. My favorite example of this, and what I think a lot of gyms should do, is point A, you need our help. Point B, all the way at the very end, is you don't need our help, because that's the real transformation. Now, at point B, when they get to the very end, that might take 2 years, but that's your job to deliver that sort of outcome where they no longer need your help, but they stay with you because they want to. So this is really the outcome that we try to get owners to sell to. And then everything that happens in between is the client journey. So what do you see as missing for a lot of gyms in that process, from the sales process, from what they're selling, from the outcome they're even, promising, to tracking the whole process and having a system for it?
I think it starts with day one, that initial consultation. I just wrapped a consultation via Zoom right before this, and we did not talk about how many days a week, how many sessions, how long the sessions are. That did not come up. What we did talk about was, I don't feel proud of myself right now because I'm doing things that don't line up with who I want to be. And then we started defining, well, who do you want to be? What does that look like? What behaviors do you think a person like that would have? And we start framing that up. And now we start having some concept of what we need to do to take this person from point A of needing our help to point B, no longer needing our help, but loving us so much they want to stay with us. And we can start framing that up and sell an individualized solution. So now that person was not buying this many sessions to get started, or a 12-week, we're going to really hit the ground running and white knuckle this thing. We collected $3,500 via Zoom after a 25-minute call because the value for them was, yeah, this is cheap for the result I'm trying to get. If I was selling sessions, it's not cheap.
Totally different sale. And you can get creative with this, but if the conversation is around sessions or, monthly membership prices, or it's anything that's fragmented outside of the real result that they want to get, we've seen owners get really creative with their client journey where, because it's a high touch service, because you're individualizing their solution, for some people that point B, independence, along the journey, it might be, I want to run a marathon.
Yep.
I want to hike this mountain by my house without, getting out of breath or without stopping 3 times, right? So progressing them towards that outcome of independence, but you get to have fun with this. You get to be creative with it. That keeps the client engaged the entire time. So we can talk about that. We've seen some different examples, but it's a much different conversation talking about those things, like things they actually want to do versus something superficial. You're talking about membership prices, you're talking about cost per session, and you're saying we're going to help you lose weight. The conversation you had with that prospect weight loss is probably an outcome that happens, but as a result of them becoming a totally different human.
It's a side effect of change. It is not the change, it is a side effect of the change.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So step one is in the consultation.
Yep.
Um, and then from there, like once someone's bought in and they're envisioning this outcome and they're like, okay, this is great. Like I've never heard anything like this. These people are going to help me get to point B.
Hmm.
What does it look like from an onboarding perspective? How do we keep them engaged the entire process? A lot of gyms will have them do like a 3, 4, 5, 6 phase client journey. What does that all look like, and how can a gym owner start to conceptualize it?
Yeah. Well, if we have a person in front of us and we have defined where they're currently at, we've properly assessed, and we've identified where they want to be, well, now your job as a coach is to put together the client journey for that person. So, how I define it is, if you're trying to do this broadly for your whole facility, who is your exact person that you want to help? Think of that one person in your mind that you would love to replicate in your facility. What problem did they have when they started? What did they want to accomplish? Now let's define what we would do to help that person and guarantee that unless they were intentionally trying to screw this up, that they would get the result. That they're going to get leaner, that they're going to get stronger, even if they're trying to mess it up, they can't. What would we do to help them? Would we just say yeah, show up to group on Tuesday, we'll get you started? No, we wouldn't do that. Would we say, yeah, you know what, just cut out carbs? Yep, you know what, here's a 1,200 calorie meal plan that I got from Gym Launch 12 years ago.
Right.
Probably wouldn't do those things.
Yeah.
So it's building an individual solution, not thinking of, oh my gosh, how are we going to fulfill this? We can figure out the how later, but let's figure out what needs to be true first. So defining that client journey, shaping that up, and then be able to present that to the client. You have to understand, when a client comes in, you are not the first solution that they have tried.
Mm.
But yet they are in front of you. Why? Because the last solution didn't work. So do you think they have a high level of trust when they walk into your building that this is going to be different? Subconsciously, they are looking for a reason not to do this. And if you don't have a clear articulated plan, that is all the justification they need not to follow through or not to buy in and believe this thing. Now, conversely, if you do have clear expectations, clear measurables, and you show this path, to them it's a revelation. It's, oh my gosh, I've never seen anything like this before. I can actually see how this happens for me. This feels doable. Now your client buy-in goes through the roof. And that gets you more time. You don't feel like you have a gun pressed to your head where you have to deliver an outcome in 6 weeks. You understand, your client understands, this is a long-term process.
Mm-hmm. And they're educated on the process the entire time.
Correct.
And, this is why we have such a strong belief that a PT first into a small group individual design model makes so much sense. Because it's really hard to do this in a group setting. If you're doing it in a large group setting, you're just throwing someone into class. Really, if we think about the outcome that we just sold, right? So you need to make sure you can back this up. You just sold this outcome of independence. Well, what do you think needs to happen to move someone to independence? They haven't figured out a solution on their own for 10, 20 years in some cases, right? So really the change that is happening is a shift in identity, and that person becoming someone that is reliant on external accountability in the beginning to moving to someone that's a totally different human being that's internally disciplined and no longer needs your accountability. But the vast majority of people are coming to you because they need that accountability in the beginning. So doesn't it make sense to have higher touch in the beginning? More one-on-one sessions, more individualized attention, monthly meetings on their nutrition, their lifestyle and habits, right? And then moving them to a spot where actually we pare some of that away. Maybe they don't need PT anymore. Maybe they don't want PT anymore. And they go to an individual design small group model. So if you're thinking about your client journey and actually delivering this outcome of independence, it should model that where if we're just throwing people into group and this is the model you run right now and you're just hoping that CrossFit just, scoops them up and just changes their life forever, which definitely happens. Like people just buy into it. But if you're a high touch facility, if you're doing PT first, your job is to move someone from needing you to not needing you. And so we should have PT in the beginning. We should have individual design after that. We should have high touch in the beginning to move someone through that transition. Cool. Talk to me about onboarding process. The way I tell people about onboarding, it either reinforces the buying decision or it just completely fills the client with remorse. So you just got off of a sales call. You just collected $3,500 for an initial 12 weeks at your gym Velocity. What's going to happen now? Like what's already fired off? Because I know things have already fired off in
Yeah.
terms of like onboarding.
So all of the notes from that consultation have been forwarded to the primary support that will be working with that client. The coach is going to send out a video welcome message so that person, when they come in their first day, is not meeting a stranger. They've
Hmm.
already feel comfortable and they know, okay, this is my coach Addison. I'm really looking forward to meeting her. I've already seen her. That coach also outlines clear expectations of, okay, this is what we're going to cover on your first day. This is where to park. This is appropriate attire to wear, bring change of shoes, all that good stuff. These people are nervous. This is one of the scariest parts of the process for them. They're
Hmm.
taking a big leap outside their comfort zone. So we want to make them feel comfortable. So that's the
Hmm.
very first thing that happens. That client is then going to come into our facility. We're going to have an initial onboarding session. We're not throwing them into a workout. We're going to
Hmm.
start really small. We need to see how they move. And we also need to spend about 20, 30 minutes sitting down so that coach can better understand the scope of everything with that individual. Yes, they receive notes from me, but they still don't know all the intricacies of this. So we want to make sure we get a clear understanding of that client. From there, that coach is going to take those notes. They're going to converse with the rest of the team, figure out the appropriate solution, and begin designing that program. And then they're going to present that to the client.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. So first, 48 hours, there's multiple touch points, not only with you, but, from the second they pay money, the next 2 days, that's where a lot of like the buyer's remorse comes in. So they're being reached out to by their assigned coach. You're trying to overcome what's called fear of the unknown, right? So they just paid money, they're bought in, but any sort of like uncertainty that creeps in, can put that person in buyer's remorse. So we're telling them where to park, we're telling them what to expect. And so we're trying to overcome all of that fear of the unknown. And then once they're in for the onboarding session, you did a good job, right? You got them to the first session. Any like emails going out, any sort of support there of what to expect?
Yeah. So after that first session, they will get an email recapping what we covered that first session, why we did it, what to expect the next few weeks. They will also be dropped into an auto flow that has some basic education that's going to mirror what we're doing in the facility. Um, they will have a onboarding session where they get up to date on all the software. We walk them through that step by step. We really just remove any friction point for the client. That's the big thing. You said it really well, Jay, in that the first couple days, really the first week is where buyer's remorse happens. And what we want to do is leave no doubt, leave no room for uncertainty. And I like to think of it this way. I have horses. I love horses. Horses are a prey animal. They're scared of everything. Like if they see a rock that wasn't there yesterday, they freak out. They're like, "Oh my gosh, this rock's trying to kill me." So I view, clients when they come in feel the same way. They are looking for any reason to validate that they shouldn't be here. And it's not that they're being malicious in that, it's just they're scared. So we want to remove anything scary. So that's that first week we're doing that.
Cool. Yeah, makes sense. We have a couple minutes, so I want to keep moving to just what happens as a result of this. If you really clean this up,
Oh
a
my
lot of
gosh.
people, again, we focus so much on marketing, and we help gym owners with marketing for sure. But there's a
Hmm.
reason this is step one in our client journey when we work with the gym. Um, Not only does attrition go down, and we know the numbers on that, keeping a member for instead of, a month, 12 months, 18 months, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars compounded over all your members. And so not only does that happen, but referrals also tend to increase. And you said something when we chatted, the other day. What's the best way to get referrals? Is it to, incentivize members by giving them $50 or a percentage off or anything like that? Or is it really, man, if you have the onboarding process dialed, you have a clear client journey, you've sold to outcomes, and this person is just absolutely blown away, what ends up happening?
Yeah, they can't help but talk about it.
Mm,
I like to think of if we're delivering the outcome, the results speak for themselves. They're going to go to their Christmas and their whole family's going to say, "What have you been doing?
right,
You are totally different. You can't hide that." "Oh, I've been going to Velocity and it's absolutely changed my life."
right.
And
Yeah.
even if that person doesn't directly refer them, now when that person is ready, willing, and able down the road, or they're thinking, "Man, I need to make some changes. You know what? Like my cousin like went to Velocity and saw really good progress."
Hmm.
We had 5 referrals last month. Not us doing a referral campaign saying like, please like bring a friend, not doing a
Here's
Jeff,
$50.
yeah, your $50 like coupon, your free personal training session. Nope. Because people saw so much value that they couldn't help but talk about us.
Right. Right.
That's how we want to get referrals.
That's the best way to do it, for sure. I want to wrap this up with, one of the things that I did in my gym, you do it really well in your gym, is just layering on all this, right? Like someone pays us money, onboarding's dialed, we're selling to outcomes. They have a clear journey. They like know what to expect for the next 12 to 18 months, and they're committing to this change. And by the way, they have this incredible support system every step of the way. One thing that we love to layer in is unexpected value. Just like the cherry on top, it's like they did not expect it and you
Ooh,
blow their minds. And this is the stuff that really like people start talking about you, right? People start posting on Instagram, posting on Facebook, like if anyone's looking to change, you have to go to Velocity in Fort Wayne, right? So talk to me about that real quick. We'll wrap up with the
yeah.
cherry on top, unexpected value, and the effect that it has.
This is my favorite thing in the world. And unexpected value, it's like when you go to a restaurant, you have an amazing experience that you can't help but talk about, or you go to an amazing hotel. We want to do the same thing in our facility. That consult I just had, I was small talking, I had my coffee with me drinking, and I casually just asked, "Oh, like, what's your go to coffee order?" Now, on her first day, I have her coffee order uploaded into the CRM. Our coach knows what coffee order they want. That will be waiting for the client the first day they get there. So that
Unbelievable.
is a nice little unexpected value. They get a welcome box sent to their house immediately after their first day. It's going to have a t-shirt, swag, a handwritten note, a book, all kinds of cool stuff in there. So we want people to say like, "Oh my gosh, like what is this place? How are they so on top of things?"
Hmm.
Every coach is going to know that client before they walk in. So
Mm.
when that client walks in, not just their coach who's working with them that day, but every coach will know their name and introduce themselves.
Incredible. Yeah. And if you're a gym owner that's like, man, things are tight, like, how do I do this gift box? It's going to cost me like $100 per client. We already ran the numbers. So, first of all, just start doing it and just man up or woman up and just start doing it. But also, you could start with the coffee thing. Find a way to sneak that into conversation, and it's going to absolutely blow their minds.
Yep.
So, it's just the cherry on top, the unexpected value. They just made a decision, and then 2 days later, they get something in the mail that is just extremely welcoming. When they first walk in the door, everyone knows their name. So that stuff combined with everything that we talked about, man, your attrition is going to go down to virtually zero, which is the title of this podcast. And then, only then, can we market and add new members to this system.
Marketing is a privilege, not a right.
That's right. Let's go. Let's go. So, if you're a gym owner and you need help with any of this stuff, we primarily work with, gyms that are stuck. If you're 25K, 30K and you're stuck, you've been stuck. Yes, we layer on paid advertising, but we really help you clean up your client journey, clean up your onboarding system, deliver unexpected value, pull those, levers that seem small that make a massive difference. Brad, when we put this stuff together, it's pretty crazy. These small changes end up making massive impacts in your business, especially a gym owner stuck at 25, 30K. We're a few tweaks away from doubling your business inside of 12 months because we get attrition down,
Mhm.
referrals go up, and we layer on some paid acquisition on top of that, and we start really outpacing attrition. So Anything to add to that before we wrap up?
Yeah, if you are a gym owner and you have taken your gym from zero to $25,000, you have done the hardest part of the journey right now.
It's the hardest
That is
part.
the hardest part. The easy part is going 25 to 50. You are a
Hmm.
few tweaks away from that, or even
Hmm.
beyond. It can happen like that, but it only happens when we focus on fulfillment first.
Couldn't agree more. And this is coming from a marketer. I love marketing, but Brad's 100% right. And we've seen it. We've doubled businesses inside of 6 to 12 months because of just a few tweaks on the fulfillment side. So, with that, if you need our help, link in the description, fitrevconsulting.com. Book a call with us. You'll talk to me or Brad directly, and we'll just see how we can help. Other than that, keep crushing it. We'll see you guys in the next one.
See ya.